This man was basically a male version of Little Dragon Maiden from the ancient Tomb tribe and didn't know much common knowledge. For example, he had no idea what mahjong and cards were. It was as though he wasn't a mortal from this world and would levitate and ascend to heaven at any moment. Yuan felt rather apologetic, so she would rack her brain for good food and fun things to bring every time she visited him. The longer she knew him, the more she disliked the potential for him to possibly disappear at any second. This strange feeling terrified Yuan somewhat. Moreover, following the growing intensity of the fight between the martial arts union and prison, her frequent visits to Azura turned very dangerous. Today was the last time. She couldn't come again. I probably won't visit again, Yuan said. Every time, she merely came to see him and bring him something good to eat, but he'd pay her back so greatly each time, truly causing her to feel like she was taking advantage of him. She didn't want to use such a pure and kind-hearted person. The man's fingers froze over the cards for a second before he calmly responded, N. Upon seeing this lack of reaction, Yuan felt annoyed for some reason. Hey, I won't come anymore, don't you have anything to say? Even if you won't miss me, won't you miss the xiaobings, the deep-fried breadsticks, the steamed buns, the mantus, and the lollipops I bring? Si Yihan answered, I will. Yuan wanted to cry, her eyes turning red. You really will only miss the xiaobing, deep-fried breadsticks, the steamed buns, the mantus, and the lollipops? Si Yihan furrowed his brows before adding a few words, I will miss you. Yuan's eyes brightened. Missing me is just an afterthought, right? Yuan couldn't describe those messy feelings broiling inside of her. She dusted off her behind and stood up. I'll leave now. We won't see each other in Jianghu, but we'll meet again if fate wills it. N. Yuan walked away, her head drooping. She had no idea that after she left, the man stood in the same spot and stared after her for a long time before murmuring with his cool voice, we will meet again. Probably because the man disguised his feelings too well that the hypnotized Yuan still tragically thought it was one-sided love on her part back then. Not too long later, Azura's offensive power suddenly exploded, and the martial arts union was attacked more fiercely than ever before. At the risk of her life, Yuan was sent to Azura's headquarters by her grandpa to scout for intelligence. She maneuvered her way through Azura with familiarity like before, but to her surprise, a disaster befell her this time. She accidentally fell into Azura's trap again. The trap this time was an enormous hole. Although she cracked the mechanism and didn't get injured, the four sides of the hole were made of steel and metal, too slippery for her to climb up. Damn! If she couldn't escape before being discovered tomorrow, her only path out was to get caught by Azura. Yuan was spinning in anxiety and was searching to try to get out when the sound of footsteps was heard above her. Yuan's eyes turned piercing. Shit, is it an Azura member? Who's down there? Si Yihan's familiar voice sounded heaven-sent to Yuan. She hastily yelled, It's me, it's me. A gust of wind was heard as the person above jumped down. Yuan jumped in fright and stared at Si Yihan, who jumped down, in the dim light. Shit! Why did you come down here? Ah, this is a trap. To keep you company. I was afraid you were scared, Si Yihan answered. Yuan's heart fiercely trembled when she heard him. Damn! Did he have to use such an aloof voice to say such stirring words? And he just has to look so clueless. What a tragedy. It took me a lot of effort to decide to stop visiting him. She had discovered that something wasn't right about her feelings toward him, but the person in front of her was truly too naive and wonderful. She didn't want to deceive him anymore and was afraid she wouldn't be able to hold herself back from doing something monstrous to him. Someone like her wasn't worthy of such a wonderful person. The past Yuan was drowning in her self-reproach and guilt while the present Yuan had a god's eye view and was dumbfounded. Damn! Si Yihan was Lord Azura, so how could he possibly be unaware of how to get out of his own trap, ha ha ha. Yet he purposefully didn't deactivate the trap and stayed down there with her. In her hypnotized state, Yuanwan was watching this memory from a god's eye view, so she would have nearly been fooled by him if she didn't see this. See Yihan. Absolutely. Freaking. Liked. Me. Yuanwan never expected that outwardly cold but inwardly passionate man to have possessed ulterior motives toward her since then. Moreover, Si Yihan back then was a lot more well-spoken than he was now. Listen to his words. A casual line was enough to make her maiden's heart burst and beat wildly. In this memory, Yuanwan and Si Yihan were trapped for 3 whole days but thankfully didn't starve to death since she had a habit of carrying food with her. It wasn't until the 3rd day that Yuanwan accidentally hit the on and off switch and the duo managed to get out. The present Yuanwan nearly leaped up from too much excitement. Fuck. She was an utter innocent and cute girl back then. She actually foolishly thought Si Yihan was naive, innocent, and pure, but ended up being led around on a leash by him. Just how cunning was this guy? He actually conspired against me like this. Yuanwan found it unbearable to keep watching this. However, this fragment of memory was unusually long and whole. The memory continued playing. Yuanwan could do nothing but watch these 2 black-hearted leaders sparring with their acting skills, each more of a white lotus than the other. The next memory segment struck an ominous feeling in Yuanwan though. The past her suddenly received news that a woman recently appeared by Ji Xiuran's side and the 2 of them went everywhere together. In truth, Yuanwan was someone who wouldn't keep harassing the other person when she made up her mind to let them go. However, she'd liked Ji Xiuran for too long, so the sorrow in her heart wasn't that easily soothed. This piece of news greatly affected the young Yuanwan still. And so, Yuanwan hid inside a bar and got as drunk as a lord. Once again, the present Yuanwan saw that Si Yihan came to this bar as well at some point in time and sat fairly close to her. Later, the drunken Yuanwan absolutely lost all inhibitions. Gee. Aren't I good looking? Aren't I cute? Why don't you like me? I like you so much. Why don't you like me? Fuck your sister. Who wants to be your younger sister? No way. No way would I like someone else. No way would I find someone I like more. No one way would I take a fancy to those wildflowers. Aside from you, everyone else is a part of the landscape. Si Yihan clearly heard everything Yuanwan said. Damn, the hypnotized Yuanwan finally understood why Si Yihan kept doubting that she sincerely liked him. He probably always thought she had someone she couldn't forget and knew that person was surnamed Ji. That was why he was particularly hung up about Ji Xiuran. This memory fragment provided an answer to everything. Yuanwan really wanted to kill the drunken her. She wouldn't ever drink again. In the memory, Si Yihan silently sat in his seat and watched the drunken Yuanwan acting crazily. After slowly finishing the cup of liquor in his hand, Si Yihan stood up and walked over, catching Yuanwan from nearly tripping. He frostily said, "You will like someone else." Yuanwan's vision was blurry and couldn't recognize the person in front of her anymore. She turned furious instantly and glared at him. "I won't." Si Yihan retorted, "Is that so?" Yuanwan nodded vehemently. You're humiliating me. No way would I like someone else." The man narrowed his eyes slightly. He grasped her chin with his slender fingers and suddenly leaned close, pressing a kiss on her lips. "Did you like that?" The man's seductive breaths enveloped her, and his city-ruining beautiful face was centimeters away. Yuanwan felt her soul escaping from her body. At the same time, she sobered up a little and recognized the person in front of her. She dazedly answered, "I do." Logically speaking, Yuanwan was drunk and shouldn't have recalled this memory so clearly. However, the old headmaster's hypnosis skills were truly amazing and made her completely remember everything that happened. After this, she was brought back to Azura by Si Yihan. Si Yihan had no intention of taking advantage of her vulnerable state. Perhaps it was because Yuanwan didn't carry a Xiaobing on her, so she wasn't too attractive. After settling her in the room, Si Yihan was prepared to leave. What followed was purely Yuanwan acting suicidal. Gorgeous. I'm quite good at fortune-telling. How about I read your palm for you? Yu Wanwan shot forward and blocked Si Yihan's path before grasping his hand, not allowing him to refuse. She touched his hand this way and that and carefully examined his palm. Gorgeous, your life is lacking me. Yu Wanwan's flirting methods were truly rather tacky and terrible, but she had no presence of mind to care about that in her anxiety. She suddenly felt an especially intense feeling of unease. Whether it was food or an object she liked, she absolutely had to hurry and eat it. Or else she would lose it again. She kept trying to repress herself. She wanted to be a moral person and refrain from committing such an atrocious crime. But, she really liked him. She might be drunk but she felt more awake than ever before. This was the first time Yu Wanwan felt like this since Ji Xiuran. She thought her heart would never pound like this for anyone else again. Si Yihan, Yu Wanwan redoubled her efforts. Also, do you know? You look especially similar to one of my relatives. Si Yihan retorted, is that so? Yu Wanwan said, yes. You look especially similar to my mom's son-in-law. The man's perpetually expressionless face actually revealed a hint of a smile. Do you say this to every wildflower? Yu Wanwan indignantly protested, nonsense. You aren't some wildflower. The man stared at her deeply. I'm not. Of course you aren't a wildflower. You're the stars, the ocean. I like you. Yu Wanwan looked up, her clear and bright eyes staring at him with unusual seriousness. Si Yihan didn't expect her to say such a thing and was completely dazed by the last 3 words. However, he thought of something and his entire person wilted rapidly. No one likes me, Si Yihan replied. Oh. How coincidental. My name is actually no one. Who am I? Yu Wanwan's mind was crisply clear. The world's kindest, purest, most wonderful gorgeous man in the world who's been imprisoned by a cruel and perverted devil. The air was silent. Si Yihan's faintly dangerous gaze unblinkingly locked onto her. Do you know what your words mean? What? Yu Wanwan asked. I mean I won't let you go. Yu Wanwan blinked, uncomprehending. Why would you let me go? After saying that, she pattered over and leaned her head back, looking up at him in a pitiful, feeble, and helpless manner. I brought so many xiaobings, so many buns, so many cornbreads, so many lollipops, but you still want to kick me out. You're too heartless. The moment Yu Wanwan finished speaking, she abruptly crashed down on the soft bed behind her. A second later, a heated kiss mixed with the taste of blood forcefully collided with the girl's lips, as though he wanted to crush her into pieces and melt her into his body. Yu Wanwan's brain started lacking oxygen, her head turning dizzy. I'm not an upright gentleman, the man panted as he covered her, encasing her with his shadow. He was akin to a beast who abruptly shredded his harmless appearance and revealed his fangs, every tinge of his dark and frightening aura pouring out from every direction. Yu Wanwan's eyes brightened, and she cheerfully replied, that's great. I'm also not. I will tell you a secret, I'm actually the head of bandits. They all call me a demoness. We're definitely a perfect match. Si Yihan, the drunken girl acted like a completely different person, more passionate, brighter, and more magnetic. Yu Wanwan adamantly vowed, don't worry. I will turn over a new leaf and turn into a good person. I will definitely like you wholeheartedly and treat you well. At the lack of response, Yu Wanwan frowned deeply and murmured to herself, is it because I didn't bring any xiaobings today? But I brought something else. Yu Wanwan searched and searched. After searching for half a day, she finally found a bag of popping candy. I'm telling you. This is super delicious. You absolutely haven't eaten them before. It will be an unprecedented experience. Yu Wanwan hyped it up extravagantly like a quack. After saying that, she immediately ripped open the packaging and handed some to Si Yihan. The present Yu Wanwan wanted to slam her head against a wall and kill herself. Why the heck did she act so idiotically in front of Si Yihan? She wanted to sleep with him using a mere bag of popping candy. What was she thinking? Keep dreaming. Perhaps she wasn't being hypnotized and was dreaming instead. Yu Wanwan was about to slam her head against a wall when she heard the past Si Yihan using his cello-like low and husky voice to answer, okay. Si Yihan solemnly accepted the colorful bag from her and a long, lingering kiss landed promptly. Yu Wanwan, back then, she actually used one bag of popping candies to sleep with Si Yihan. She wouldn't believe it. The next morning, when Yu Wanwan woke up and saw the man lying next to her on the bed, she was stupefied. Their clothes littered the floor, the man's chest lay naked, and she, tyrannically hugged the man's arm and threw her leg over his body. Why were things like this? Yu Wanwan felt like lightning and thunder had struck a clear day and was utterly flabbergasted. When she smelled the alcohol reeking from her, she became more panicked. She was doomed. She finally committed a great crime. Yu Wanwan rolled over to the other side of the bed and scrambled up, hugging the comforter as she dumbfoundedly sat there with a head of disheveled hair. The man next to her seemed to have been awoken by the commotion and his good-looking brows wrinkled before his eyes opened, turning toward her. When Yu Wanwan met those clear and flawless eyes, shame enveloped her and she wanted to find a hole to burrow into. The normally witty and articulate Yu Wanwan couldn't utter a single word. Si Yihan rubbed his arm, which had turned numb under her, before sitting up. Since you're awake, you can leave. Yu Wanwan's heart chilled when she heard this. What do you mean? Although yesterday was an accident. I actually schemed for this for a long time. Blah, no, what I mean is. I'm serious, I also don't know what's wrong with me, but, after getting to know you for so long, I seem to like being with you more and more. Although I said it was the last time many, many times, I still couldn't resist coming to see you in the end. I like you, Yu Wanwan said the 3 words, I like you, again, in a sober state too. Si Yihan intently stared at her, as though he was afraid of missing a single word she spoke. After an unknown amount of time passed, Si Yihan finally said expressionlessly, we're not good together. The hypnotized Yu Wanwan fumed with rage. Damn. She nervously waited for a half a day and Si Yihan actually replied with a, we're not good together. This rotten old codger was so evil. She was actually more angry at herself. Why was she so silly and didn't realize the truth? That seemingly immortal beauty was playing hard to get with you. Why did she keep thinking Si Yihan had a low EQ? Yes, he had a low EQ, but his IQ was freaking high. He could spin her in circles using his IQ alone. However, she was angry, but her heart contained more glee. It turned out she wasn't the only one in love this whole time. Thinking up to this point, Yu Wanwan's feelings swiftly swiveled from, this rotten old codger is so evil, to, why is my baby so adorable? While Yu Wanwan continued traveling down memory lane in a love-struck reverie, the past her blurted out, nonsense, I'm good with everyone. Yu Wanwan, fine, that really is my style of speech. Moments later, the duo sat down in the living room after getting dressed. The atmosphere entered a deadlock. Si Yihan sipped some tea before he seemingly nonchalantly asked, what do you like about me? Yu Wanwan cupped her chin, her eyes sparkling. She was staring at the man who was celestially handsome and made her infatuated and head over heels in love even though he was merely wearing a simple dress shirt and was sitting there drinking tea. Unable to help herself, she blurted out, you're good looking. Si Yihan put down the teacup and glanced up at her. There are many good-looking people in this world. Yu Wanwan replied without any hesitation, nonsense. There isn't anyone better looking than you. Just as she said that, a voice suddenly came from the door, little girl, aren't your words too absolute? The hypnotized Yu Wanwan was astonished. She didn't expect to see Jiang Lihan in her memories. Si Yihan's good looks were the fleeting and illusory type that seemed separated by a layer of muslin, emanating a great sense of distance. But Jiang Lihan's good looks were different. He was an earthly peony that any seer could hit on. As someone obsessed with looks, Yi Wanwan was truly stunned. At the same time, Yi Wanwan sharply detected a fresh sense of coldness in the air that caused her to shiver inexplicably. Yi Wanwan immediately looked away and turned back to Si Yihan, asking, "Baby, who is he?" "Your friend. Why do you have such an ugly-looking friend?" When Jiang Lihan heard Yi Wanwan addressing Si Yihan as "baby," he stumbled and fell. That last line nearly caused him to choke, and he incredulously asked, "Cough cough cough cough, what did you say? Say it again." Yi Wanwan scampered towards Si Yihan's side and peered at him in a docile, well-behaved, and adorable manner. "No worries, baby. I might have a face complex, but I will reluctantly greet him if he's your friend." The unspoken line was, "I might have a face complex, but I only have a complex about your face." The hypnotized Yi Wanwan was shocked by her immensely powerful survival instincts back then and almost couldn't resist sitting up and clapping for herself. She was seriously too awesome, alright? It turned out she was already so skilled back then. Si Yihan glanced at her arm around his, and a gentleness he himself didn't detect arose in his eyes. "What did you call me?" Yi Wanwan looked up and daintily replied, "Baby. Do you like this nickname?" They still didn't know each other's names and never asked the other person. After all, the other person came from the enemy faction and held an opposing status, so they tacitly avoided this. Yi Wanwan leaned closer and her cautious appearance was like she was approaching some particularly easy-to-frighten small animal. Can I keep calling you this from now on?" Si Yihan's expression was dazed when he met her bright and resplendent eyes. A moment later, he expressionlessly responded, "It's just a nickname." "As you please." Yi Wanwan was elated. "That's great. Then I'll call you, baby, from now on. You can call me darling." Yi Wanwan didn't have any sense of rejection and cheerfully decided everything on her own. "Shit. My eyes." Jiang Lihan couldn't believe what he was seeing. Si Yihan glanced at the incredulous Jiang Lihan, the distaste in his eyes obvious. "Did you need something?" I was afraid you'd be bored, so I came to visit you." "It looks like you probably won't need me." Si Yihan, "No need." Jiang Lihan, faced with his best friend's heartlessness, Jiang Lihan clutched his heavily wounded heart before saying to Yi Wanwan with a chuckle, "Little girl, your taste is very unique. You actually like this guy." Yi Wanwan was very displeased by Jiang Lihan's words. "What about my taste, huh? My baby is gentle and wonderful and kind-hearted and pure. Moreover, he's a lotus flower who emerged unsoiled from the mud and cleansed of the world's evils. He's the best and nicest person in the world." Jiang Lihan was clearly startled and couldn't regain his wits for half a day. He looked at Si Yihan strangely. "He's gentle, wonderful, kind-hearted, pure. He's a nice person." Yi Wanwan glared at him. "That's right. What about it? Hey, who the heck are you? Don't tell me you're someone sent by that pervert Lord Azura to torture my baby, right?" Hold on, what did you say?" "That pervert Lord Azura." Jiang Lihan looked like he was in a dream and blurted out, "Say, little girl, do you know he is?" Before Jiang Lihan could finish speaking, he sensed the gaze of death shooting toward and piercing him. And so, the second half of Jiang Lihan's sentence forcefully twisted from, "He's the perverted Lord Azura you speak of," to, "That's right. He's gentle and wonderful and kind-hearted and pure. He's absolutely a super nice person who emerged unsoiled from the mud." Jiang Lihan felt like he'd never uttered anything as dishonest as this in his life. That gaze of death finally retracted. Jiang Lihan cleared his throat before saying, Allow me to introduce myself. Actually, I'm a relative of the second aunt of the third aunt of the cousin of a hall master of a branch serving under hall master gang. I'm a gopher who runs errands at Heavenly Hatred Gang and have known your baby for many years. We're good friends." Yi Wanwan nodded. I see. Then allow me to also introduce myself. I'm the subordinate of the disciple of the Deputy Hall Master of the Northern Branch of the Fearless Alliance. However, it was that bastard demoness of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flattop, who forced me to join. The hypnotized Yi Wanwan sunk into deep speechlessness. What else could she say? She had to individually give Oscars to these three people. The following memory fragments were mainly comprised of her multitudinous ways of pursuing her husband while Si Yihan rotated between hard-to-get schemes, beauty traps, and self-inflicted injury ruses. This romance seriously frustrated Yi Wanwan. Throughout their continuous interactions, Yi Wanwan gradually softened Si Yihan's attitude. Of course, from the present Yi Wanwan's viewpoint, Si Yihan was also slowly making her unable to extricate herself. At the same time, prison and the martial arts union were at a stalemate in their long battle, so they temporarily entered an armistice. Detecting opportune timing, Yi Wanwan finally exposed her fiendish fangs and launched her kidnapping plan. Baby, don't tell me you're planning to stay imprisoned in Azura for the rest of your life. Let's leave this place. Aside from here, I have nowhere else to go, Si Yihan replied. Yi Wanwan instantly refuted him. It's fine as long as I have somewhere to go. Leave with me. I've already taken care of my family, so I'm preparing to leave the Fearless Alliance. It's perfect, we can leave together. Si Yihan paused and concealed the light in his eyes before looking at her. Leave together. That's right. Yi Wanwan was worried he wouldn't understand, so she cleared her throat before explaining, did I not speak clearly enough? Let me switch the wording. What I'm saying is, let's elope. Elope. Si Yihan's gaze wildly flickered. If you're doing all this because of that accident, it's unnecessary. Yi Wanwan self-righteously responded, please. How could it be because of that? Am I someone who's only infatuated and covetous of your body? I like you, alright? You aren't covetous. I'm still covetous. After saying that, Yi Wanwan coughed awkwardly. What's wrong with me coveting my man, huh? Besides, I didn't just covet you that one time, I'm going to covet you your whole life. Your whole life. Those were probably the three most perfect words in the world. You don't mind that I'm from Azura? Si Yihan asked, looking at her seriously. Yi Wanwan was blasé. What's there to worry about? You're just the minor leader of a branch, not that perverted Lord Azura. Si Yihan, anyway, we're both insignificant nobodies, so being enemies has nothing to do with us. Yi Wanwan fibbed without skipping a beat. It's unrelated. Lord Azura's bullshitting abilities obviously weren't weaker than Yi Wanwan's. Sensing promise, Yi Wanwan's eyes brightened. Right? Moreover, I've pursued you for so long, don't you trust me yet? Seriously, the efforts I spent to chase you would be enough for me to build 10 fearless alliances. Of course, I'm willing even if you make me spend the efforts of building 10 Azuras. Si Yihan couldn't shift his eyes away from the blazing light in her eyes. Imperceptible contempt flitted through his eyes when he heard 10 Azuras. Even 10 Azuras couldn't compare to a photon of the light in her eyes. I can consider it, Si Yihan finally responded. Yi Wanwan's head drooped instantly. How long will you take to consider it? If he was going to consider it for a decade, wouldn't she turn into a wilted flower from waiting? Don't you like to eat xiaobing? I recently found a chef who specializes in making xiaobing, so I've mastered the art. I can make it for you every day at home from now on. Si Yihan, sure. He clearly knew she probably wouldn't care as much after winning over all of him, but he still couldn't reject her, let's leave together, and, your whole life. Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan finally realized what Si Yihan said after half a day. What? What did you just say? You agreed. Just because, she learned how to make xiaobing? If she had known this earlier, would she have pursued him so strenuously? She should have just outrightly sent him a cart of xiaobing every day. If that happened, perhaps she would have won him over ages ago. Didn't you say you needed to consider it? Yes, I've finished considering. Yi Wanwan, are you sure this isn't because of the Xiaobing? Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan found a very beautiful and secluded location and settled there, isolating themselves from all the turmoils of the outside world. And so, the duo's reclusive life began. She had never felt that relaxed and happy. However, a major hidden worry dwelt inside this bliss. She continued to conceal her true identity from him. She couldn't imagine the consequences of such a pure and kind-hearted person learning she was the president of the Fearless Alliance. In Yi Wanwan's anxiety, she summoned some higher-ups and called an emergency meeting. When everyone reported their tasks and waited for Yi Wanwan to provide a conclusion, Yi Wanwan started, after a series of careful deliberations, I've decided. I'll donate 100 million to the Independent State Charity Association and build 100 free martial arts schools within 1 year and send 10 trucks of emergency supplies to 34th District. Toward the end, Yi Wanwan concluded, your president has decided. From today onwards, I'll be a good person. After Yi Wanwan's speech ended, her audience was stupefied and a dead silence draped over the room. First elder, President, did you drink today? Second elder, she seems to have drunken quite a lot. Third elder, Big Dipper. 7 star. Didn't I tell you to watch over the president and stop her from drinking? Big Dipper, I did. I threw away all of Sis Feng's alcohol, alright? Don't randomly blame people. Third elder, then what's wrong with the president? Why are you making excuses for your incompetence? Big Dipper, blah. You old fart. You only know how to blame this and that. Why didn't you stop her yourself? The conference room degenerated into a quarrel. In the chief seat, Yi Wanwan silently facepalmed. She also thought she was too blind during that speech just now. She better go have a drink to calm down. In the end, Yi Wanwan gave up that scary thought. Even if she started doing good deeds now, it wouldn't change the reality that she was a bandit leader. The mere thought of her baby looking at her in fear and disgust was unbearable. Nope. I must securely conceal this alias. I can't scare him. That's right, for my baby, I'm a pure and wonderful little white flower. In Yi Wanwan's memory, this romance was fairly thrilling and exciting too. For example, they ate outside one time, but unexpectedly ran into miscreants. Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan were heading home after the meal and walking their own paths without causing any trouble, but a group of people fierily appeared ahead of them, walking toward their direction. That group was utterly smashed and took over the whole road, staggering everywhere. They fell down after crashing into Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan but started blaming the duo instead. Shit! How dare you slam into me? Do you want to die? The fallen tattooed, brawny man yelled furiously. His subordinates rushed up at once. Motherfucking! You two, come here and apologize to my big bro. You want to die, huh? Yi Wanwan took a brief look at them and discovered this group wasn't some common street gang and were actually members of a local group, Black Tiger Gang. The fallen guy was even a hall master. The martial strength of this group wasn't low, especially the hall master of Black Tiger Gang. He possessed a degree of fame in the martial arts world. Even so, she could still win this battle, herself versus many of them. But she couldn't do it right now. Her baby was there right now. In front of her baby, she wasn't able to open even the lid of a soda bottle. Si Yihan's eyes chilled as these people cursed unreasonably. Shit, damn punk, you have the guts to glare at me? Yi Wanwan's heart skipped a beat when she saw the members of the Black Tiger Gang more clearly. I'm SCR**wed. She had pummeled these guys before, and they all recognized her. However, thank goodness Yi Wanwan dressed like the epitome of a proper maiden every time she went out to prevent her identity from being exposed, and she wore a pair of thick black-framed glasses. Furthermore, this group of people was drunk off their socks, so they didn't seem to recognize Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan relaxed upon seeing that. Yi Wanwan cleared her throat before pinching her voice and daintily said, sorry, big brothers, we really didn't mean it. Can you generous sirs forgive the mistakes of us lowly people? We won't do it again. Yuanwan didn't notice how Si Yihan's eyes were as icy as the Arctic when he heard Yuanwan say, "Big brother." One of the hall master's underlings saw how delicate and cute Yuanwan was, and his attitude changed quite drastically. Big bro, how about we forget it? Why are we bickering with a girl? The hall master's menacing expression still carried some anger. Yuanwan said, "This big brother has such a mighty appearance. I can tell you're handsome and kind. You definitely won't bother with us." The hall master looked slightly mollified, clearly pleased by Yuanwan's bootlicking. "Humph. Count yourself lucky. I'll spare you this time." However, the hall master sent his underling a look. The underling caught the hint and instantly understood. He looked Yuanwan and Si Yihan up and down as he said, "We can spare your wretched lives today, but do you want to run off so fast after crashing into our big bro? Isn't that too insincere?" Yuanwan understood at once, contempt rising in her heart. Although their fearless alliance had a bad reputation in society, they never harassed the weak and wouldn't perform minor gigs like robbery and making small gains. If they were going to do anything, they would pull off something grand. They either went big or went home. This was why the fearless alliance had such a notorious reputation, but no one dared to provoke them and the top-tier organizations were cautious toward them. Anyway, she seriously looked down on these people. Yuanwan was afraid Si Yihan couldn't endure it, so she quickly lowered her voice and said, "Don't act impulsively. Otherwise, if the matter escalates and our identities get exposed, we'd be **wed. After all, the two of them escaped from their respective organizations. Yuanwan especially. These people knew her, so she'd lose her alias if things escalated." "I will give them all the valuables I have on me," Yuanwan quickly added. Thankfully, Si Yihan didn't object and retained a calm attitude. Okay. Si Yihan didn't have anything valuable on him, so only Yuanwan handed over her wallet and a pendant hanging from her hip to those people. "Brothers, here's some kind regards from us. Please accept them." Those people accepted the money without any reservations but were still unsatisfied. They stared at Si Yihan and asked, "What about this punk? You should know from how commonly he's dressed." "There's neither a penny nor anything valuable on him," Yuanwan softly explained. The underling snorted. "Can't say for sure. I'd have to search to know." Yuanwan's eyes chilled slightly. Fuck. These ungrateful brats. Is my baby someone you can touch? As the underling said that, he sent two people to search Si Yihan. How could Yuanwan allow those people to touch Si Yihan with their dirty paws? The string in her head snapped immediately, and she lost control. Damn. Forget it. Dropping her alias was fine. Touching her baby absolutely wasn't allowed. However, at that moment, Si Yihan pressed down on her hand and gently looked at her. "It's fine, let them search." Yuanwan was touched to death. Her baby was seriously too nice and too gentle, okay? In the end, those people dashed forward and roughly searched Si Yihan's whole body. Si Yihan stood unmoving in his spot, allowing them to search without care. However, Yuanwan originally didn't mind this trivial matter too much, but after those people touched Si Yihan, her rage surged higher and higher. Fuck. Black Tiger Gang, is it? You're freaking dead. Meet. After they left, Yuanwan was still beside herself with anger. I'm so mad. Those people. They're merely a motley crew, so there's no need to bother with them. Since they wanted money, we could just give it to them. Safety first, Si Yihan calmly said before instructing her, "You've separated yourself from the Fearless Alliance now, so you have to act more low-profile from now on and avoid getting into conflicts with people easily." Yuanwan grumbled, "You're too nice and too sweet-tempered, baby." Then to maintain her character, she instantly added, "But you're right, baby. There's no need to bother with them. It's only by repaying evil with good that we can accumulate karmic rewards. Otherwise, when will an eye for an eye end? N. The present Yi Wanwan didn't know how to comment on this duo's conversation. One was a bandit leader and the other was one of prison's 3 major heads. Didn't their consciences hurt when they said things like acting low profile and repaying evil with good? She didn't believe she'd forgive them that easily back then. The memory continued. As expected, that night, Yi Wanwan left her secluded home and sneakily made her way to the group from Black Tiger Gang. Ha ha ha, that girlie just now had a nice figure actually, and a sweet voice too. That's right, that's right. She rather knew how to talk, and her voice was like an oriole's. We should have kept her. But the damn punk next to her had such a menacing look. He's probably not someone to be offended. TCH, there's someone our third bro doesn't dare to offend in this territory. That's true, ha 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 ha. Big bro, if you like her, we can go and help you snatch her. Yi Wanwan had a piece of dog's tail grass in her mouth as she squatted on the side of the road and happened to hear voices from that drunken group. They seemed to be discussing her. Yi Wanwan spat out the grass from her mouth and languidly sauntered out from the bushes. Were you all looking for me? Yi Wanwan asked. When the group from Black Tiger Gang saw Yi Wanwan, they were astonished but quickly became excited. Isn't it that girlie? Why did you come looking for us yourself? What? Did you take a fancy to our big bro? Ha 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 ha, the group rolled with laughter, suggestive expressions on their faces. Yi Wanwan sneered. I have limited patience. Who's the blind guy who touched my man earlier? Come out here now. Yi Wanwan's drastic change in attitude caused their expressions to change. Damn bitch, what did you say? Are you suicidal? Suicidal? True, you're rather suicidal. Yi Wanwan retorted. Damn. Little slut, I think you. One of the men charged toward her as he shouted that, but a loud bang rang out before he could finish speaking, and the man was kicked into the air like a sandbag. Damn. This bitch knows some moves. No wonder she's so arrogant. Come. Attack her. Yi Wanwan rotated her wrists before bolting forward like a flash of lightning, taking care of the other people before apprehending the 2 men who body-searched Si Yihan and ferociously beat them. Finally, Yi Wanwan nonchalantly started strolling toward the hall master from Black Tiger Gang. The hall master looked at his fallen underlings, enraged. Little bitch, you're quite gutsy. Which group are you with? Declare your name. How dare you provoke the Black Tiger Gang? Yi Wanwan slapped off the dust on her and raised her brows. My name? These underlings were all experts in Black Tiger Gang but were taken care of in under 10 minutes by this woman like she was chopping lettuce. He clearly saw how extremely vicious and bone-chilling her attacks were too. There wasn't anyone who wasn't familiar with the Black Tiger Gang in this territory. Who was suicidal enough to provoke them? The hall master was instantly enraged. Do you know who I am? I'm the hall master of Black Tiger Gang, Feng Kuan. Declare your name if you have the guts. I'm definitely going to decimate your gang. Yi Wanwan chuckled lightly. Sure. I'll welcome all of you to visit any time. Our front door is always open for you all. After saying this, Yi Wanwan languidly pulled off the black-framed glasses from her face with one hand. At the same time, her other hand tossed aside the pink ribbon tying her hair, loosening the delicate hairstyle she had done by a hairstylist. Her long, black hair flowed down. Paired with the girl's emotionless and chilly eyes, this scene struck terror into its watchers. Under the moonlight, the girl was very pretty, but this scene was scarier than seeing Rakshasa. Bye phone. The hall master hastily staggered back when he recognized the person in front of him, landing butt first on the ground. How is this possible? How could that dainty girl be bro flat top, by phone? Black Tiger Gang would never forget this face. Back then, she was tormented once because he suicidally clashed with the Fearless Alliance, so he was no stranger to Bai Feng's face. They merely couldn't recognize her at all in her previous attire. Feng Kuan scurried toward Yuanwan and plopped down in front of her on his knees. Grandfather, I'm sorry. Boss Bai, we were blind to not have recognized your esteemed self. I didn't expect you to secretly visit my lousy place incognito. Please forgive me for my mistake, sir. Please make allowances for me. The other underlings were flabbergasted from their terror and quickly threw themselves at Yuanwan's feet, bawling and sobbing as they kowtowed. Boss Bai, spare me. Spare me. Bunch of blind things, hurry and return Boss Bai's items to her. Feng Kuan kicked them. The frightened, dumbstruck underlings reverently returned the objects they robbed in haste. What? Didn't you want to pay a visit to my fearless alliance? No. No need. These people didn't dare to act insolently in front of this demoness, and woeful howling enveloped the scene. Who would have expected they would be blind enough to run into Bro Flat Top hitting on a man in female clothes? They even disturbed her appetite and touched her prey. Weren't they suicidal? Several days later, Yuanwan originally planned to secretly teach the Black Tiger Gang a lesson. To her surprise, they provoked someone unknown and got completely annihilated. Baby, did you know? The Black Tiger Gang, who made trouble with us last time, got completely annihilated by someone. I wonder which group did it. Yuanwan exclaimed. Si Yihan's expression remained unchanged. Really? Yuanwan nodded. Yes. I heard the news outside just now. Baby, it appears virtue really has its rewards and evil its retribution. Justice eventually defeats evil. Si Yihan replied, yes, there are still mostly good people in this world. That's right, that's right. The hypnotized Yuanwan stood in silent tribute for the Black Tiger Gang for 1 second. She didn't need to ask to know the culprit was Si Yihan. This Black Tiger Gang was rather unlucky and managed to offend the bosses of the Fearless Alliance and Azura in one go. At this point in her memories, Yuanwan and Si Yihan basically behaved like an old couple. They normally lived like recluses inside the courtyard, playing instruments or chess games or preparing some tea. They even grew a pond of water lilies and raised several cranes, spending their days fairly leisurely and freely. To match her elegant and noble baby, she even seriously learned to play the zither and go, learned calligraphy and painting, and would pronounce her words carefully like a writer in everyday conversation. This caused the guys from the Fearless Alliance to live in terror every day, and they stayed far away from her in fear, thinking she was drinking heavily again. One day, the worried Yuanwan furtively probed, baby, let me ask you a question, Si Yihan, what is it? Yuanwan carefully picked her words. What are your thoughts on the president of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flat Top? Why are you asking this? Si Yihan couldn't figure out why she suddenly asked this question. Yuanwan offhandedly replied, I'm just curious and randomly asking. What kind of person do you think Bai Feng is? Si Yihan's face turned stern as he ordered, this person is very dangerous, so stay far away from her. Don't participate in the Fearless Alliance's fights anymore. When Yuanwan heard Si Yihan's opinion, her heart plunged down to the earth, chilled. Very dangerous, very dangerous. Wah, I'm actually not dangerous at all. I'm very soft and cute. Si Yihan sensed something was amiss after a second, and Yuanwan quickly regained her composure. Ahem, don't worry, don't worry. Of course I know. I've broken all ties with the Fearless Alliance already. We made a clean break and absolutely won't have any more dealings with them again. I also definitely won't come into contact with that demoness. I have another question. Yuanwan finally relaxed when Si Yihan didn't seem to suspect anything. She took a deep breath before making up her mind and continuing, baby, since the first time I met you, it feels like I'm always forcing you. Do you rather dislike me? In truth, if you really don't like me, you don't have to force yourself. Si Yihan was startled and his scorching gaze turned toward her as he slowly asked, why do you think I'm forcing myself? Yi Wanwan blinked and dazedly answered, didn't you only come with me because of the Xiaobing? Back then, you also only saved me because of some Xiaobing. Later, because I gave you a bag of popping candy, that night, you agreed and said, yes. The more Yi Wanwan spoke, the more depressed she became. Who would have expected her love rival to be Xiaobing? Oh right, there was also steamed buns, mantus, cornbreads, and popping candies. Si Yihan looked at her with a complicated expression. That's what you think? Yi Wanwan blinked. That's right. Actually, I've been wanting to ask you. Why do you like Xiaobing and popping candy so much? I was actually completely drunk back then. I completely didn't expect to exchange a bag of popping candy with you, yet you agreed to stay with me. You're so good but so clueless and don't know anything. I don't want to deceive you or use you. You're free now, so you can eat anything and do anything you want. If you like the food I gave you, you can buy those items anywhere. They're not rare objects. Si Yihan's fingers froze around the black chess piece he held. Do you want to know why? Yi Wanwan vehemently nodded. Yes. I do. Si Yihan placed down the chess piece and casually replied, because no matter what you use to trade with me, I will say, yes. Yi Wanwan's mind crashed at once. Huh. The hypnotized Yi Wanwan was love-struck by this sweetness. It appeared a certain someone's sweet-talking had been so convoluted eons ago. Memories played in her mind like a carousel lantern, and this time, her memories were very fluid and microscopic to the most minor detail, showing just how important and memorable this segment of her past was to her. Perhaps she could recover all of her memory this time. However, just as Yi Wanwan thought that, when she entered the martial arts union again and conversed with her grandpa, an intense pain pierced her mind. Her grandpa's blurry figure started flickering and the contents of her conversation with her grandpa escaped her mind. The harder she tried to recall it, the more intense the pain was. Yi Wanwan had a faint feeling that this portion of her memories was probably buried the deepest. It was also the source of her gut-wrenching agony and desire to forget everything. This hypnosis session lasted longer than the previous 2 times. When Yi Wanwan woke up, it was night time already. Such a long series of memories actually only took a little over half a day. The sharp pain in her mind caused Yi Wanwan to abruptly roll up from the chair, sweat soaking her forehead. You're awake. The headmaster was combing his beard as he looked at Yi Wanwan on the chair with a satisfied expression. This hypnosis session lasted the longest, meaning the effects were decent. Yi Wanwan wiped off some sweat, her expression still dazed as she hadn't returned to the present yet. A moment later, she nodded with a tinge of pity. I thought I'd be able to remember everything this time. She hadn't recalled darling Tang Tang and the matter she cared most about yet. The headmaster said, his tone heavy, little girl, you mustn't be so greedy in life. If you recalled everything all at once, your mind wouldn't be able to handle it. Yi Wanwan sat up properly and mulled over it. Being able to remember her romantic journey with Si Yihan was already the greatest reward. These honor points were well spent. Sir Headmaster, thanks. I'll come find you again next time. Yi Wanwan then tried to bargain with a grin, look, Sir Headmaster, I've visited you so many times already. Can't you give me a discount? The headmaster sternly glared at her. I can cut your legs. Ahem, sorry for bothering you, Yi Wanwan secretly called him petty before swiftly leaving. She was rather lucky and had a fairly successful hypnosis session, so the trouble with Si Yihan should finally be resolved without a problem. However, Yi Wanwan had no idea that the world outside had turned upside down already. The baby in her memories who turned her into a love-struck teenage girl had entirely entered a crazed state. At the hot springs resort, Si Yihan's expression instantly turned empty. She is worryless, nya, ahem. Why yes, Lin Ke trembled in fear when faced with his 9th brother's expression. Since Si Yihan's current state was too scary, Jiang Lihan also didn't dare to continue running his mouth off. In the end, he couldn't endure this frightening pressure and tried to make a joke before fleeing. Actually, being deceived is nothing. Being cheated on is also nothing major. It's no big deal. Think positively. Don't feel too sad. There are plenty more fish in the sea. Xie Qianchuan coughed awkwardly and furtively comforted him before hastily bolting as well. When Lin Ke saw Jiang Lihan and Xie Qianchuan fleeing, he also decisively escaped, not wanting to serve as cannon fodder. From the second Xi Yihan learned about Yi Wanwan being worryless Nya, he sat in his seat, unmoving. His tea went from warm to cold and the blazing sun wilted from the sky. Jiang Lihan, Xie Qianchuan, and Lin Ke hid in a nearby corner and conversed while whispering. Jiang Lihan kept shaking his head and sighing. Ey, how wretched. I never expected Yi to also be afflicted by love wounds one day. Xie Qianchuan was somewhat worried. I feel like this matter affected him pretty badly. Do you think he won't be able to recover after this stumble? Jiang Lihan adamantly nodded and said with conviction, definitely. I've never seen Yi care about a woman as deeply as her. I have to say, that woman is seriously terrible. Isn't she playing with someone's feelings? Jiang Lihan stared at the desolate silhouette sitting in the distance, clicking his tongue. Do you think Yi will withdraw into himself completely after this? Lin Ke was also incredibly worried and anxiously said, stop gossiping. Ninth brother broke up, so you should at least go up and comfort him. Jiang Lihan agreed. You're right, he does need to be comforted. Look at how he sat there the whole afternoon without moving. He must be so broken-hearted. The trio was discussing how they should comfort a certain person's wounded spirit when the statue-like Xi Yihan slowly stood up all of a sudden. When Xi Yihan turned around and the night breeze passed by him, the trio involuntarily shivered. Ninth brother. Are you okay? Where are you going? Lin Ke asked with a stutter. Xi Yihan peered down and fixed the cuffs on his black suit. His hoarse voice was cool like the frost of late autumn. The Nye residence. Lin Ke was startled, unable to react. Ji go to the Nye residence? Why are we going there? Xi Yihan looked up after tidying his cuffs. His originally calm and aloof eyes were scarlet red, seeming to billow with a violent storm. He quietly and nonchalantly said, inform Jiang Yan. Dispatch all men within 15 minutes. Jiang Lihan and Xie Qianchuan jolted in fright. Xi Yihan had restrained his personality a lot after coming back, as though he was a different person. However, at this moment, he seemed to have instantly reverted back to the chilly and bloodthirsty Lord Azura from back then. Lin Ke was stupefied. Go to the Nye residence. Dispatch all men to the Nye residence. What the heck are you doing, ninth brother? Ah! Oh my god! He knew ninth brother would be sucked into a violent rage because of what happened with Yi Wanwan this time, but he never expected things to develop to this point. Regardlessly of how abominable that damn girl Yi Wanwan was, her identity right now was the second miss of the Nye family, worryless Nye, to say the least. Who were the Nye family? They were the leader of the independent state's 4 great clans. Seeking trouble with the Nye family meant a world war. Xie Qianchuan and Jiang Lihan were also stunned. What? No way, right, Yi? You want to attack the Nye family? Jiang Lihan was flabbergasted. Xie Qianchuan frowned slightly. Yi, calm down. This matter requires careful deliberation. Before they could continue, Xi Yihan had walked away and disappeared into the night. Xie Qianchuan and Jiang Lihan stood in their spots, blankly staring at each other. Afflicted by love wounds. Unable to recover after this stumble. It was all nonsense. They actually forgot how frightening this guy's innate nature was. On the other side, after leaving the headmaster's office, Yi Wanwan planned to seek out Xi Yihan immediately. However, she accidentally overheard a conversation as she walked through the campus. These are troubling times. The independent state will probably enter chaos. What do you mean? You don't know yet? Azura and the Nye family started fighting. Damn! Azura and the Nye family started fighting? This explosive. Seriously? What's going on? Yi Wanwan stomped on the brakes, thinking she heard wrong. After carefully thinking it though, wasn't this normal? The independent state was disordered. Today, several groups disliked each other and got into spats. Tomorrow, they riled each other up more and got into bigger fights. Fighting occurred nearly every day, so this wasn't news. It was just Azura and the Nya family fighting today, no? Wait. Azura. The Nya family. What? Azura and the Nya family started fighting? Yi Wanwan finally regained her wits and stood dumbfounded in her spot. Freaking, why did my man start fighting with my family? Isn't this friendly fire? Family fighting family? Besides, Tang Tang is still freaking home. Several other students surrounded the speaking student. The student continued, of course it's true. Don't forget what my specialty is. This is first-hand news I scouted. It happened just today. Right now, the Nya residence has been tightly beleaguered by members of Azura. Nya family's other forces are all rushing there, and nameless Nya's mercenary teams are in full attendance. A war will be triggered at any moment. That mercenary seemed to be adept at scouting for information, so the people around him all believed him when they heard how vividly he described things. They started loudly arguing, each person talking over the others. Damn, each member from Nameless Nya's team is more demented than the next. Are you serious? The Nya family aren't so easily trifled with. Furthermore, the Nya family and Azura have always minded their own business without any interactions or business relations. As long as there wasn't some conflict in profits, top-tier factions like Azura and the Nya family absolutely wouldn't start fighting. That's right. It's normal for common factions to starting fighting, but Azura and the Nya family? As soon as they wage war, it'd be a case of pulling one hair and the whole body moves. Countless factions in the independent state would get dragged in. Faced with everyone's doubtful gazes, the speaker turned urgent. Shit, I swear. If I'm lying to you, I'll kill himself and you can make me eat shit. Azura really encircled the Nya residence. I'm a beast if I'm lying to you, alright? When they heard that, everyone's doubts finally dissipated. It appeared Azura and the Nya family really got into a conflict. However, what was the reason? Ever since Azura rolled back from the dust, haven't they been too arrogant? Where did they get the nerve to attack the Nya family? They're the leader of the independent state's 4 great clans. Azura also isn't weak, alright? I don't think it will be a piece of cake for the Nya family this time. No matter how strong they are, they still can't provoke the Nya family. Barring the Ling family, the Nya, Shen, and Ji families are birds of a feather. The Nya family especially has intricate relationships in the independent state. Forget about Azura, but even the martial arts union wouldn't dare to easily harm a hair on the Nya family. Isn't Azura too gutsy? But Azura is one of Prison's core factions. This is a war between a dragon and a tiger. Why the heck did they start fighting all of a sudden? Yi Wanwan also really wanted to know. She frowned as she wondered, Azura and the Nya family started fighting? Why? Immediately, a man's figure surfaced in Yi Wanwan's mind. Nameless Nya. Don't tell me my extremely unreliable brother went off and caused trouble again, provoking Azura this time. However, after some careful consideration, Yi Wanwan realized that with his explosive temper, Nameless Nya would have charged into Azura's headquarters and started fighting with them on the spot if he got into a dispute with them. Nameless Nya would resolve all conflicts and enmities immediately and wouldn't drag it out and involve the entire Nya family. Azura was too irrational this time. They can provoke anyone, but they just had to provoke the Nya family. That's right, amongst the 4 great clans, the prickliest rose is the Shen family and the second is the Nya family. Especially since the Nya family has Nameless Nya. Nameless Nya's name was placed alongside piece of shits back then. People said only the eldest young master of the Nya family could prove a match for piece of shit in the entire independent state. Why did Azura provoke someone like this? Indeed. Eldest young Master Nya was once called undefeated fighter in the independent state. That's the past. The current eldest young Master Nya swindles people all day long and values money more than his life. I think that if the Nya family is about to be annihilated, he'd only think about how he could grab some money from the Nya residents and escape. Yi Wanwan felt her head swelling while listening to them. Did they have some misunderstanding about Nameless Nya? Did they really know Nameless Nya? Her real brother was strong indeed, but his brain was lacking, and he was predisposed to killing himself with stupidity. If they depended on him to defend the Nya family would have been destroyed long ago. Soon, Yi Wanwan walked toward the group. Classmate, were you serious about what you said? Is the information accurate? Yi Wanwan's approaching terrifying face caused that mercenary to jump in fright. He quickly recognized the newcomer to be the most sought-after celebrity at Scarlet Flame's Academy lately. Yi Wanwan, it's you. Of course this info is accurate. Anyway, it's such a big commotion, so you couldn't hide it even if you wanted to. Everyone will definitely hear about it soon. Based on his tone, he should be telling the truth. However, no way could she believe that Si Yihan started fighting with the Nya family for some reason. Yi Wanwan couldn't figure out what screw was lost in Si Yihan's head. They still hadn't married, yet he was acting so insolently toward his in-laws already. She immediately called Nameless Nya. For mercenary missions, please press 1. For other missions, please press 2. To hire Nameless Nya himself, the fee is doubled. To hire the team under Nameless Nya, the pay is also doubled. If you don't have money, please hang up. Thank you for your cooperation. Yi Wanwan, freaking. What kind of weird voicemail message was this? Nameless Nya still didn't pick up his phone after half a day, and Yi Wanwan couldn't stand the awful message anymore, so she could only give up. At the same time, at the Nya residence, members of Azura flooded the outside of the Nya residence, standing off with the Nya family guards. The man stood outside the gates, one with the darkness. His bone-chilling gaze contained irrepressible bestial instincts, as though he wanted to swallow everything into his stomach and rip and smash everything apart. The experts who normally guarded the Nya residence appeared from their hiding spots, and a dozen or so elderly men with heads of white hair walked out from somewhere. They all stood in front of the Nya residence. These elderly men weren't young, but their spirit and energy were shockingly vibrant. Junior, leave this place. An elderly man's apathetic gaze landed on Si Yihan. His voice wasn't loud but sent piercing pain into his listeners' eardrums. Scram, calmly responded a middle-aged man standing behind Si Yihan, dressed in plain clothes. That's one of the 4 Azuras in Azura, Heavenly Azura. Many factions had rushed to the Nya residence's vicinity upon hearing the news. Several people were startled when they saw the middle-aged man who spoke. Everyone knew Emperor Ji's group had the 8 gods while Azura's group had the 4 Azuras. Just like how Emperor Ji's 8 gods represented the strongest fighters, Azura's 4 Azuras were the same and represented Azura's top fighters. Furthermore, the 4 Azuras were very mysterious and rarely operated outside, only appearing when Azura launched a true, epic battle. Damn! Azura's 4 Azuras were dispatched. Freaking! It isn't just Azura's 4 Azuras. Those old men are the Nya family's cabinet elders, they're true top-notch fighters. Even a powerful freak like eldest young Master Nya has to address them as teachers. Soon, more and more factions arrived. 2 of the 4 great clans had arrived, the Shin family and the Ji family. Eldest young Master Shin looked at the front, then looked around him before turning to his family's elders and asking, "Can this matter be resolved with money?" One of the Shin family elders mulled over it before shaking his head and replying, "I'm afraid it can't. The Nya family has dispatched their cabinet elders while Azura has dispatched the 4 Azuras. This is equivalent to these 2 great factions waging the largest-scale war. I'm afraid money can't easily resolve it." Eldest young Master Shin was startled. Damn, why did we come here then? Our Shin family has nothing but money. As for the Ji family, a large group also came but only lingered on the perimeters without any plans to involve themselves fully. They seemed to be observing the situation. Amongst the four great clans, the Nya family and the Ji family had the best relationship, nearly to the point of sharing everything. Hence, the Ji estate naturally wouldn't stand by and do nothing if the Nya family engaged in the largest-scale war. Right now, veins popped from Si Yihan's forehead and dark shadows hung under his eyelashes. He staked everything in one throw and believed her, only to obtain this kind of result. She still recovered her memories in the end, returned to her original identity and even reunited with her and Ji Xiuran's child, leaving him behind, leaving him to guard those promises and memories by himself, leaving him where she left him. I said it before. I said it before that. She's the only one. She can only be mine. Yet, she violated his last bottom line, pushed his emotions into an abyss and crushed his last thread of reason. Kill. Si Yihan's low and hoarse voice was akin to the roar of a primitive beast, sending people shaking with fear. The current Si Yihan didn't possess any rationality anymore. How audacious! Suddenly, Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya slowly walked outside the Nya residence. Nameless Nya, Feng Shuani, Spray of Flowers, Iceberg Man, and Little Sweetie were standing behind the duo. Who dares to provoke the Nya family? A large group from the Fearless Alliance arrived on the scene with the elders in lead. Countless hall masters and higher-ups were also present. Was Azura serious? Their president Fearless was a daughter of the Nya family. Azura making trouble with the Nya family was no different to them than making trouble with the Fearless Alliance. Moreover, the Nya family had a thick thigh, so they weren't afraid of offending Azura. The black-suited Lord Azura coldly swept his eyes across everyone. His torrential aura was like that of a tyrant and made people unwilling to approach. Next to Si Yihan was the extremely enigmatic four Azuras of Azura, while behind him was Lin Ke, Jiang Yan, and many experts from Azura. Don't act rashly. People from prison's other two core factions, Heavenly Hatred and Slaughter's Gate, are nearby, a higher-up from the Ji family warned quietly. Both Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya's expressions turned terrible instantly. An overpowering scent of gunpowder permeated the air, as though blood would wash the earth and war could ensue at a moment's notice. Patriarch Nya snorted. Ha! Lord Azura is quite mighty and impressive. You actually dared to move against my Nya family? In contrast to Patriarch Nya, Madame Nya was slightly calmer. For some reason, she felt like Lord Azura looked familiar. Madame Nya said, "May I ask what Lord Azura intended by invading the Nya residence with such a parade? If you don't provide a reason today, you won't be able to leave unharmed despite being Azura. Hand over the person to me." Bloody veins covered Si Yihan's eyes, and his low and hoarse voice sounded like a nightmare. Are you joking with me? You came to the Nya residence to demand a person? Patriarch Nya shouted harshly. This Lord Azura came running to their doorstep so malevolently and demanded a person immediately. He was seriously too arrogant. Madame Nya looked at Si Yihan in confusion. You want someone? Who? As Madame Nya asked that, she glanced at her son standing behind her. This punk didn't get into some trouble on the outside again, right? As soon as Nameless Nya saw his mom's gaze, he knew what she was thinking. He bewilderedly protested, "It has nothing to do with me, all right? Why are you looking at me? I haven't had any jobs recently and have been staying home all day long, not even leaving the house once. Why are you blaming me? How come I don't get rewarded for anything good but get blamed for everything bad? It's too awful." Patriarch Nya lowered his voice and snapped, "If it has anything to do with you, I'm going to give you a one-way ticket out of this house with a kick." Si Yihan's eyes didn't bear a trace of warmth, and the hidden mania in them could destroy the last of his control at any moment. He icily replied, "Worryless Nya." Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya were both startled. Madame Nya repeated, "Worryless?" Nameless Nya jumped up instantly and yelled, See? I told you it wasn't me. Look at what your good daughter has done." Patriarch Nya's face was darker than ink. "Lord Azura, the Nya family and Azura have always stayed in our own lanes. However, You came here in provocation today and spoke impetuously, wanting to harm my daughter. Aren't you overly conceited? Sharing a bitter hatred for a common enemy, Madame Nia also questioned, what do you think the Nia residence is? Do you think a member of my Nia family can be taken by you merely because you want it? If you hand worryless Nia to me, you live. You don't, you die. Si Yihan's bone-chilling gaze brushed over everyone as though he was a venomous snake lying in wait, sending everyone shivering. Big Dipper leaned close to 7-Star and Third Elder's ears and said, It's over, it's over. I told Sis Feng not to provoke Lord Azura. Great. She's finally pissed him off now. Third Elder felt distress gripping him. Thank goodness we have the Nia family's support. Or else we'd be dead for sure. 7-Star wore a serious expression. Azura has an intimate relationship with prison. If prison also attacks. The man was akin to an eternally frozen glacier, and his indescribable aura sent people shaking with fear. Azura's reputation rang far and wide as one of prison's 3 core factions, and everyone had heard of Lord Azura. However, the demonic Lord Azura today, who looked like he had just climbed out the deepest pits of hell, was a rare sight. Although Azura was extremely notorious and was categorized as the same type of group as the Fearless Alliance, they were different from the Fearless Alliance and rarely stirred up trouble. I will say it again. A penetratingly cold voice without a tinge of human emotion emitted from the man's lips. Patriarch Nia coldly looked at Si Yihan and snorted. Lord Azura, I have to agree that you're indeed very powerful in the independent state, but I'm afraid you've mistaken something. Oh. Si Yihan's apathetic gaze landed on Patriarch Nia. For example, this is the Nia residence, not someplace where Azura can do whatever they want, Patriarch Nia replied mockingly. There had never been any faction who dared to come to the Nia family and demand someone while presenting this attitude and posture. Moreover, they wanted his precious daughter. Even if the 3 core factions of prison came together today, they shouldn't bother thinking about taking anyone from their Nia family. So you won't hand her over, is that it? Si Yihan's icy eyes didn't contain a ripple of human emotion. It was as though the man in front of them wasn't human and was instead a fearsome primitive beast that acted solely according to their likes and instincts. Forget about taking my daughter away today, Lord Azura. Even if you wanted a cat or dog from my Nia family, I'm afraid you would fail. Madame Nia's face gradually chilled. Madame Nia originally thought perhaps Lord Azura had some misunderstanding with their Nia family, but it appeared that wasn't the case. If someone unimportant truly provoked Azura and they privately discussed it, giving each other the necessary respect, the Nia family could hand over the person. However, Azura pompously encircled the Nia residence and made demands in front of the entire independent state. In this kind of situation, even if it was a stray cat or dog, Azura shouldn't dream about taking it away, let alone a nobody. Why the big fuss? Just call Worryless back here and see if there's been some misunderstanding, Nameless Nia suggested with a grin. Madame Nia and Patriarch both fiercely glared at him simultaneously. Why are you looking at me? What if there's a misunderstanding? Nameless Nia grumbled. What should we do if there isn't a misunderstanding? Taoist devotee asked Nameless Nia with curiosity. If there isn't a misunderstanding, then we can only count Azura unlucky, Nameless Nia replied seriously. Enough rubbish. The middle-aged man standing next to Si Yihan shouted, hand her over, and the battle will cease. Refuse and blood will purge the grounds. Before Patriarch Nia could reply, Tang Tang slowly walked out of the house. Little ancestor, why did you run out here? Nameless Nia hastily walked toward the boy. Go back, go back. Don't cause trouble for Uncle, can't you see Uncle is preparing to fight? Move over, Uncle. Tang Tang shot Nameless Nia a look. Nameless Nia reflexively moved to the side but quickly regained his wits. He was this little ancestor's uncle, so why did he listen to Tang Tang? Shouldn't the situation be reversed? You want to capture my mommy? Tung Tung's tiny figure stood at the front of the Nia residence. His gaze, which was identically bone-chilling to Si Yihan's, shot towards Si Yihan. Tang Tang and Si Yihan's eyes met. Even if you're my daddy, there's no leeway for bullying my mommy, Tang Tang declared. Tang Tang, don't randomly address people. Who's your dad? Patriarch Nya furrowed his brows at Tang Tang. Si Yihan stared at Tang Tang, a complicated and turmoiled emotion surfacing in his eyes before turning into a violent rage. I am not your father. Indeed, this is worryless Nye's biological son. This is Ji Xiuran's child, not mine. Where is worryless Nye? Si Yihan was teetering on the brink of losing control and couldn't seem to repress the bloodthirsty wild beast that dwelled in his heart. Tang Tang's appearance evoked a terrifying roar from the beast, as though the beast wanted to crush everything into dust. Damn, Lord Azura, are you serious? The Nye family is the leader of the independent state's 4 great clans. Not only did you come to besiege the Nye family, but you also demanded the Nye family to hand over worryless Nye. Worryless Nye is Ji Xiuran's fiancé. Just how many factions does Azura want to offend at once? The observing eldest young Master Shin suddenly yelled. However, eldest young Master Shin's yelling caused Si Yihan to completely lose all rationality. Fiancé, veins popped out from the man's forehead, and blood vessels covered his eyes. His rage could burst to the heavens. Kill! Si Yihan harshly shouted. Following Si Yihan's words, the members of Azura and the 4 Azuras instantly lunged toward the Nye family. Humph, insolent fools. Patriarch Nye also waved his right arm with a shout, placing the order to start fighting. In the blink of an eye, the sea of people transformed into a scene of slaughter, and the Nye family and Azura's fighting forces melded into one. When the Ji family saw the 2 sides finally fighting, they immediately rushed over but were impeded by people from Heavenly Hatred and Slaughter's Gate. Yi Wanwan had removed her makeup at rocket speed and rushed toward the Nye residence. When she arrived, this was the scene that greeted her. Without any hesitation, Yi Wanwan drove the car straight into the crowd. Seeing a car charging toward them, the 2 sides subconsciously dodged to the side. Being hit by a car for no reason wasn't a fun adventure. Everyone's gazes were pulled toward the intruding car. Who is it? Are they suicidal? Damn! Both Azura and the Nye family are there, yet they still charged inside? I think they hit 2 people, right? The driver's door soon opened, and Yi Wanwan stepped out. When everyone saw the newcomer's face, they were startled. Sis Feng. Big Dipper cried quietly upon seeing her. It's actually Bai Feng. Wait no, it's worryless Nye. Wait, no. What should we call her? She was both the president of the Fearless Alliance, Bai Feng, and also worryless Nye of the Nye family. She had too many identities, so people didn't know what to call her. After exiting the car, Yi Wanwan looked around her and saw a Nye family member and an Azura member rolling on the ground, covered in dust. She had accidentally flung them away with the swerve just now. However, she didn't do it on purpose. Miss Worryless. You can hit Azura's people, but I'm from the Nye family. Why did you also hit me? The Nye family member who was swept back by Yi Wanwan's swerve soon stood up with a limp and looked at Yi Wanwan with an aggrieved expression. Yi Wanwan was embarrassed. I didn't want to hit a single person, alright? Why's he blaming me when he didn't run when a car came and got hit? A strange expression surfaced on everyone's faces when Yi Wanwan appeared. Azura had come with such fanfare to capture her. No one expected worryless Nye to suddenly appear when the Nye family and Azura were seconds into their fight. Mommy. Tang Tang's dark eyes shone when he saw Yi Wanwan. He instantly sprinted toward Yi Wanwan and hugged her leg. Good Tang Tang. Mommy's here. Yi Wanwan felt her heart melting at the sight of her little darling. Worryless, come here quickly. Patriarch Nye shouted. What's happening, Dad? Yi Wanwan looked at Patriarch Nye, bewildered. What is happening? Patriarch Nye was more baffled than Yi Wanwan because of her question. How would he know what happened? Lord Azura came here for her. Patriarch Nya previously thought that his precious daughter probably provoked Azura on the outside, but worryless Nya was now asking him what happened. Before Patriarch Nya could respond, Yuanwan turned to face Si Yihan. Have you gone mad? The Nya family was her family, Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya were her parents, and Tang Tang was her and Si Yihan's son. What did Si Yihan intend to do? Seriously attack the Nya family? Did jealousy take over his brain? What was he thinking? Si Yihan first looked at Yuanwan before surveying Tang Tang, who was in her arms. A mere glance caused the raging aura around Si Yihan to become more frightening, as though he wanted to swallow all of Yuanwan. This was Yuanwan's first time seeing this gaze coming from Si Yihan, and it really jolted her in fright. Why was this man so unhinged? Take her away, Si Yihan ordered. He gave her a chance, countless chances. He told her they were unsuitable since she still had that man in her heart, but she denied it, and since he had to go to hell, then everyone should go to hell with him. Yuanwan looked at Si Yihan with exasperation. If he wanted to take her away, he just needed to call her. Why did he come so pompously to the Nya family to steal her? Her brows slightly furrowed. Just what in the world was he thinking? Could it be because she was worryless Nya? Because she was Ji Shuran's fiancée? Or because he thought Tang Tang was Ji Shuran's son? How ridiculous! How does Tang Tang resemble Ji Shuran? Is he blind? Can't he tell Tang Tang is his son? One of the four Azuras made to grab Yuanwan and Tang Tang. Junior, you're audacious. A cabinet elder from the Nya family shot forward instantly. However, the cabinet elder was too slow. Patriarch Nya had reached Yuanwan already and swung his hand to force Azura back. Dad, don't fight, Yuanwan said to Patriarch Nya, who was protecting her. Worryless, no need to worry. Forget about Azura, even if the Heavenly Emperor came here himself today, he wouldn't be able to take you away, Patriarch Nya promised as he looked back at her. Yuanwan. She really wasn't afraid of Si Yihan taking her away, but there was clearly something wrong with Si Yihan's current state. Sister, how did you provoke Azura? Look at how angry you've made them, but provoking Azura is fine. Dad, Mom, and I will seek justice for you today. If you think we aren't imposing enough, I can call my mercenaries over here. I, your brother, can work for free, but those mercenaries have to be paid, Nameless Nya said after walking to her, his voice as quiet as possible so that their parents wouldn't overhear. Yuanwan glanced at Nameless Nya. He really was her real brother. It was a matter of life or death, yet he was still asking her for money. Mommy, don't be scared. I won't allow this man to take you away. Tang Tang shot Si Yihan a cold look. Si Yihan's gaze at Tang Tang and Tang Tang's gaze at Si Yihan were both pretty scary. Looking at this real father and son duo's mutual hostility, Yuanwan was exasperated. Did Si Yihan really think Tang Tang was Ji Shuran's son? How did they look alike? Yuanwan wanted to tell Tang Tang, son, that's your real dad. Si Yihan, haven't you thrown a long enough tantrum? Si Yihan's utterly bone-chilling gaze slowly settled on Yuanwan. Leave with me on your own or everyone will die because of you. Pick one. His eyes were so terrifying. Yuanwan had never seen him like this. The current Si Yihan felt like a stranger to her. Even so, Yuanwan was still angered to the point of laughter. A man whose brain got hijacked by jealousy was impervious to reason. He was clearly such an intelligent person, so why was he unable to deduce such an obvious truth now? Die your arrogant ass. Immediately apologize to my parents. Yuanwan demanded with a frown. Everyone looked at Yuanwan with astonishment. Was this Miss Worryless Nya, alright in the head? Azura came to annihilate the Nya family, and Worryless Nya wanted to make Lord Azura apologize to the Nya family. Forget about whether there was some misunderstanding here or not. Even if there was no way Azura would admit their mistake and would only fight to their last breath. The members of Azura all burst into laughter, and contempt brimmed from the four Azura's eyes especially. Lin Kei looked at Yuan Wan and sighed exasperatedly. Was Yuan Wan still clueless about the current situation? He knew his ninth brother better than anyone. His ninth brother could tolerate that Yuan Wan was Ji Xiuran's fiancé, except for one point. His ninth brother couldn't tolerate the fact that Yuan Wan and Ji Xiuran had a child. To Si Yihan, this child wasn't a bottom line, it was an unpardonable sin. This child represented all his doubts between her and him. Apologize? Si Yihan coldly stared at Yuan Wan. You might have some misunderstanding. Misunderstanding your ass. You big idiot. Mommy, this man deserves to die, Tang Tang said to Yuan Wan. Yuan Wan frowned. Tang Tang, don't speak nonsense. I'm not speaking nonsense. This man wants to attack the Nye family and steal Mommy away. Tang Tang shook his head. He's your daddy, Yuan Wan responded with a helpless sigh. He used to be. Not anymore. Tang Tang glanced at Si Yihan. Ha! I'm not his dad, Si Yihan suddenly interjected. Everyone was dumbfounded. What in the world was happening? Do you deserve to be my dad? Tang Tang asked the man. Tang Tang, don't speak nonsense. He's your daddy, Yuan Wan was fretting with worry. This misunderstanding seemed to be a bit too big. I'll say it again, I'm not his dad. Veins bulged from Si Yihan's forehead, and his eyes were bloodshot. Are you kidding me? Yuan Wan was furious. Tang Tang is your son. If he's not your son, is he my son, huh? Everyone was baffled. What? Was Tang Tang not worryless Nye's son either? Mommy, Tang Tang looked at Yuan Wan in shock. Yuan Wan slapped her head and promptly corrected herself. Sorry, I misspoke. Blame your daddy for angering me. Worryless Nye, I'll say it one last time, he's not my son. Don't challenge me. Before Si Yihan could finish speaking, Yuan Wan bolted forward and pulled out the DNA test result from her bag and tossed it towards Si Yihan. Look for yourself. The DNA test result fluttered onto the ground, but Si Yihan didn't have any intention to pick it up and made Jiang Yan pick it up instead. Don't even think about using some trick to bewitch my lord. Jiang Yan shouted coldly at Yuan Wan. It appears you're unwilling to leave with me. Si Yihan's voice was glacially cold. He waved his right arm. Go. However, just as this order was placed, Jiang Yan was flabbergasted by what he saw on the DNA test result. Automatically, Jiang Yan pulled Si Yihan back. My lord. Didi don't attack yet, freaking. Sweat soaked Jiang Yan's forehead. It's over, it's all over, my lord is over. This misunderstanding is giant. Jiang Yan never expected his lord would actually have a child with this worryless Nye. And this child was young Master Tang from the Nye family. After all, this DNA test result couldn't be fake. It was authenticated by the IMN Authority Organization. A second later, Si Yihan's icy gaze landed on Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan shivered upon seeing Si Yihan's frightening gaze but didn't dare to loosen his hold. He hastily said, My lord, please hold on. I think it'd be better if you looked at this first. However, Si Yihan didn't take the DNA test result from him and uttered, Read it. That might be a little inappropriate. How about, Jiang Yan looked around them. Don't make me say it a second time. Jiang Yan helplessly sighed before starting. The test shows that Nye Tang Xiao and your DNA shares a similarity of 99.3%. From a biological standpoint, Nye Tang Xiao is your biological son. Everyone was stupefied. The four Azuras were dumbfounded. They weren't stupid, so they naturally knew what Jiang Yan's words meant. The people from the Nye family were also astonished. Tang Tang was Lord Azura's son. Lord Azura, was that wild man? Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye met each other's eyes, seeing the other person's shock and disbelief. Si Yihan's expression shifted, and he instantly grabbed the DNA test report. A moment later, Si Yihan put the DNA test report in his pocket, his feet rooted to the ground. He first looked at nameless Nia, then Madame Nia and Patriarch Nia, then finally Yuanwan and Tang Tang. There weren't any changes on Si Yihan's face, but his eyes were shaken. How did you have my tissue sample? Si Yihan asked Yuanwan. So when I asked for your hair and asked for 2 strands, what did you think the second strand was used for? Yuanwan coldly retorted, staring at him. Si Yihan. Si Yihan surveyed Yuanwan for a few seconds before sinking into contemplation. No wonder she asked him for his hair earlier. He simply believed the hair was for the Scarlet Flames Academy's mission and didn't think too deeply about it. Si Yihan's gaze slowly landed on Tang Tang, and his expression became complicated. Tang Tang was actually his biological son. Si Yihan was neither mentally prepared yet. In the blink of an eye, he became a father. Moreover, his son wasn't babbling out his first words and had some years to him already instead. The more Si Yihan examined Tang Tang, the more he felt like the boy looked too similar to him. Even Tang Tang's personality was identical to him when he was young. That's right. Tang Tang's face and personality didn't bear a sliver of similarity to Ji Xiuran. But why did he stubbornly believe Tang Tang was Ji Xiuran's biological son when he heard Yuanwan was worryless Nye? Currently, Si Yihan increasingly felt like his previous thoughts were too absurd. An indescribable feeling entered Si Yihan's eyes as he turned to appraise the Nye family. Ninth brother, what should we do? Did we go too far? Lin Ke, who was standing behind Si Yihan, asked quietly. Si Yihan shot Lin Ke a look. What do you think? What should we do now? It's a little too embarrassing. An anguished smile was on Lin Ke's face. Si Yihan, ninth brother, look at you. I told you not to act so impulsively. I told you that Tang Tang didn't resemble Ji Xiuran at all and clearly looked identical to you, but you wouldn't stop. It's just great. We've got ourselves in deep trouble. Lin Ke wished nothing more than to find a hole to burrow into. He might not be Si Yihan, but it was still super embarrassing. Every audience member froze in their spots, stunned. Read the next chapter on our VIP novel. Calm, who would have expected Bai Feng to be worryless Nia and would also have a son with Lord Azura. What was more preposterous was that Lord Azura was ignorant about this son and led people to attack the Nia family. This was simply too wretched. No. Why? Despair filled eldest young Master Shin's face. My heart is shattered. My goddess, my angel, my bro flat top, why did things turn out like this? Next to him, the Shin family higher-ups looked at their eldest young master and exasperatedly said, forget it. Money can't solve this problem. The simplest solution is to crush on someone else. What do you know? I'm devotedly chaste and faithful until I die. Eldest young Master Shin cried sorrowfully. Mommy, this man is my real daddy. Tang Tang incredulously turned to Yuanwan. That's right, but that's the past. Right now, this man isn't your dad anymore. Since he's led people here to steal mommy away and attack the Nye family, you don't have a dad like that, Yuanwan replied. Si Yihan's expression remained the same when he heard Yuanwan's reply, but an inscrutable feeling surfaced in his eyes. Misunderstanding, this is a misunderstanding. Heavenly Azura shot forward and hastily yelled, it's a misunderstanding. We didn't come here to attack the Nye family. Who said we came here to attack the Nye family? No way. You're spouting nonsense. You were demanding that the Nye family hand over Miss Worryless just a second ago. If you didn't come here to attack the Nye family, why are you here? Eldest young Master Shin hastily interjected. Actually, this was just a drill practice. Heavenly Azura thought about it and turned to his lord. Right. Si Yihan stood in his spot and was silent for a moment before actually nodding and answering, yes. Drill practice? I think you're acting, right? Who the heck are you trying to deceive? I don't even believe it, do you think other people would? You're awesome, so fight the Nya family. Why are you standing around and doing nothing? Attack already. Purge the grounds with blood already. We guarantee we won't act. If you really can't, the Shin family and Ji family can lend you some people and make sure you destroy the Nya family. Eldest young master Shin shouted. Heavenly Azura, Si Yihan, Lin K, none of your business. Stop your blabbing. We're practicing a drill. You won't understand it. Worryless, what in the world is going on? Patriarch Nya turned to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. She also really wanted to know what was going on. They were trying to pass it off as a drill practice now and couldn't even fool her but wanted to fool her parents. Wanwan, Tang Tang really is his, and your son? Madame Nya asked with a deep frown as she walked to Yi Wanwan. Mom, it's a long story actually, Yi Wanwan replied with a wry smile. Then make your long story short. Madame Nya didn't allow Yi Wanwan to slip out of it at all. Mom, in truth, from a biological standpoint, he is. However, after he treated us like this today and disrespected you and Dad, I'll definitely make him give you and Dad a proper explanation. Yi Wanwan anxiously said. I don't agree. He also needs to give me an explanation. Nameless Nya stepped forward and shouted coldly. Yi Wanwan, why are you everywhere? Why the heck do you need an explanation, huh? In front of everyone, Nameless Nya walked to Si Yihan and poked Si Yihan in the abdomen with his finger. Wow, you punk, you wild man. You had a child with my sister and then you fled without a word. All these years, you showed no interest in our precious Tang Tang. Do you know? It was me who raised Tang Tang poop by poop, acting as both the father and mother. Si Yihan raised young master Tang Tang poop by poop. Heavenly Azura wanted to say something but immediately swallowed his words after catching Si Yihan's gaze. It appeared all of Azura didn't have any right to speak right now. They could only admit their wrongs and accept any beating standing up. I won't waste any more words with you. But no matter what, you're Tang Tang's father from a biological standpoint, correct? Nameless Nya stared at Si Yihan. Yes, Si Yihan replied. Good. As long as you admit it. For so many years, I've raised Tang Tang poop by poop. Because of Tang Tang, I'm a grown man but haven't even found a girlfriend. My whole life has been delayed. Tell me, how do you plan to compensate me? Nameless Nya demanded coldly. Si Yihan, tell me. Nameless Nya poked Si Yihan with his finger a few more times. Okay, Si Yihan replied a few moments later. You agreed. If you dare to play tricks with me, punk, don't dream about seeing Tang Tang again for the rest of your life. After saying that, Nameless Nya turned to his parents. Dad, Mom, this is actually a drill practice, and I discussed it with them beforehand. When I have time, I will explain it to you in detail. Get your ass back here. Patriarch Nya's face swelled with rage. Okay. Nameless Nya walked back with his head lowered, not daring to say anything else. Worryless, you've done something foolish. How could you, with this kind of person? Patriarch Nya had an awful expression on his face. He actually led people here to attack the Nya family and the entire independent state is about to learn he's actually Tang Tang's real father. Where should the Nya family place their pride now? Sir Patriarch, it's a misunderstanding, it's really a misunderstanding, one of the four Azuras cried. Scram! Patriarch Nya shouted. Sure, no problem. Where does your esteemed self want me to scram? Patriarch Nya didn't want to respond to him and turned back to Yi Wanwan. I won't approve of him, Worryless. Worryless, he's too absurd. Madame Nya also said. Dad, Mom. Yi Wanwan looked at her parents. Don't worry. If you two don't approve of him, I won't approve of him, and Tang Tang also won't approve of him. Patriarch Nya and Master's expressions improved slightly after hearing that. Why are you all dawdling here? Get lost already. Patriarch Nya yelled at the audience. Go go go. Let's go. Heavenly Azura quickly waved his hand and led Lin Kei and the others away. After Patriarch Nye's admonishment, the other observing factions also left tactfully. Soon, Si Yihan was the only one left in front of the Nye residence. Let's go. Patriarch Nye waved his hand, leading Yuan Wan and the others back inside the house. Dad. Mom. He's Lord Azura, so he'll be pointed and stared at if he keeps standing in front of our house. It wouldn't be good for us either, so how about we let him come inside first? This way, we can discuss everything out in the open too. After all, he's Tangtang's father, Yuan Wan suggested softly. No. He's prohibited from taking a single step inside the Nye estate. Patriarch Nye replied. Madame Nye glanced at Patriarch Nye instantly. Worryless is right. Let him come in first. Even if Worryless breaks all ties with him, they have to talk it out or else what good would it be? But, Patriarch Nye frowned lightly. What but? I said let him enter. Madame Nye turned to Si Yihan and said, come inside. Okay, Si Yihan nodded and walked behind Yuan Wan, conscientiously keeping a small distance between himself and Yuan Wan. The current Si Yihan greatly resembled a child who did something wrong, and a rare trace of anxiety appeared in his eyes. Inside the Nye living room, Yuan Wan stared at Si Yihan. Why are you standing there? Hurry and pour some tea for my dad and mom and admit your mistakes already. Si Yihan, no need, we can't afford it. Otherwise, what if he besieged our Nye family again when he's unhappy one day? Patriarch Nye snorted. Si Yihan, apologize to my dad and mom first and admit your wrongs, Yuan Wan ordered with a frown. Si Yihan looked at Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye. It was a misunderstanding, Yuan Wan nearly spat on Si Yihan's face. Was his EQ actually low or was he faking it? She freaking told him to apologize and he gave her it was a misunderstanding? I told you to apologize. What misunderstanding, huh? Yuan Wan urgently yelled. Doesn't he see how angry dad and mom are? Pacify them. Hey, do you freaking know how to pacify someone? Patriarch Nye, Madam Nye, I'm sorry. It was my fault for not understanding things clearly first. Finally, Si Yihan apologized and bowed toward Madam Nye and Patriarch Nye. As Tang Tang stared at Si Yihan standing in the middle of the living room, he tugged on Yuan Wan's sleeve. Mommy, is he really my real dad? Yuan Wan nodded. However, now wasn't the time to fuss about whether he was Tangtang's real dad or not. They needed to figure out how to allow this real dad to redeem himself. Yuan Wan inspected her parents and discovered they were rather furious indeed, especially after learning Tang Tang was her and Lord Azura's son. Forget about Azura's reputation in the independent state for now. The simple fact that Lord Azura led people to besiege the Nye residence today and spoke arrogantly made Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye unable to back down. Yuan Wan felt helpless. Si Yihan seriously had a one-track mind. Even if something happened, couldn't he call her first and at least figure out the situation first? However, anything they said now would be too late. Now that things had reached this point, there wasn't a regret pill for him to take, and they could only rack their minds for a solution to repair things. Based on the current look of things though, Dad and Mom were in the peak of their anger, so anything they said probably wouldn't be too effective. Furthermore, with Si Yihan's EQ, it'd be better if he talked less. Si Yihan stood quietly in the living room, and Patriarch Nye and Madame Nye were also uninterested in speaking to Si Yihan, so the atmosphere was rather awkward. Head back first. Yuan Wan told him a while later. Si Yihan apologized already, and it was inadvisable to rush everything else. They had to allow her parents to calm down first. Right. Let him go back first, Patriarch Nye also said. Si Yihan looked at Yuan Wan then Tang Tang, as though unwilling to leave just like this. Yuan Wan sent him a look when she saw that. He got into such big trouble, so there was no way the Nye family's anger would dissipate that easily. If Si Yihan remained there and didn't leave, it'd only produce the opposite effect and further displease Madam and Patriarch Nye. Please excuse my many offenses today. I'll visit another day to make amends, Si Yihan said to Patriarch and Madam Nye before turning to leave. Wait, Madam Nye suddenly called out. Si Yihan paused immediately and turned to Madam Nye. Explain yourself first. What's going on between you and my daughter, Worryless? Madam Nye asked him. Si Yihan's gaze landed on Yuan. He didn't know how to answer this question. Mom. I'll tell you about this later, Yuan hastily interjected. I'm asking Lord Azura, Madam Nye said. Madam Nye, Si Yihan looked at Madam Nye as he briefly explained the past events. After hearing the story, Madam Nye glanced at Yuan before telling Si Yihan to leave for now. After Si Yihan left, Madam Nye finally turned to Yuan with a deep frown. Worryless, you should know who he is. This kind of person is vicious and cruel and would commit any imaginable misdeed. How could your dad and I hand you and Tang over to him without worrying? Yuan, indeed, to outsiders, Lord Azura's actions and style were abnormal. However, that applied merely to outsiders. Her dad and mom didn't know Si Yihan well, so it was normal for them to have apprehensions. If Yuan put herself in their shoes, she would share the same concerns as a parent. Mom, don't worry, I know what I should do, Yuan replied to Madam Nye with a smile. No matter what, she needed to placate her parents first. There were plenty of future opportunities in this pacification endeavor. After Si Yihan returned to Azura's headquarters, he immediately called Yuan, wanting to figure out some solution to rescue the situation. However, right now, they could only wait for an opportunity since this misunderstanding was rather enormous. 3 days later, an uninvited guest arrived at Azura's headquarters. Jiang Yan entered Si Yihan's office and looked at Si Yihan. My lord, that nameless Nye came, and brought a group with him. They're taking everything valuable like a group of bandits, including the supplies we just bought. Si Yihan expressionlessly closed a document on the desk and calmly stood up. Take me there. Yes. Jiang Yan snorted. He didn't believe that nameless Nye could still act so presumptuously when his lord was personally there. A moment later, Jiang Yan led Si Yihan to Azura's warehouse. Elite members of Azura encircled the warehouse. They were enraged as they watched spray of flowers and brick-moving foreigner moving the cargo in the warehouse as though they were moving things from their own house. However, the Azura members didn't dare to block nameless Nye since he was the uncle of young master of Azura. But, even if he was young master's uncle, wasn't he going too far? Who would move things from someone else's storage like this? Who were they? Put it down. When Jiang Yan stood in the warehouse and saw nameless Nye about to move the cargo they were about to trade with other factions, he was instantly enraged and screamed. However, nameless Nye and his group didn't seem to have heard him. They were immersed in their own world and wholly focused on moving the supplies, mumbling to themselves. We're rich this time. My lord, look at them. They aren't members of the Nye family. They're clearly a group of bandits. Jiang Yan was enraged. They were freaking shadier than the Fearless Alliance. Compared to nameless Nye and his team, the Fearless Alliance was nothing. When the Fearless Alliance robbed things, at least they went to rob them, whereas nameless Nye and his team matter-of-factly moved them like they were in their own home. What was more aggravating was that they were moving things in front of them. Stop! How dare you rob our warehouse in front of Lord Azura? Jiang Yan rebuked nameless Nye and his group. Nameless Nye turned around and looked at Jiang Yan without the slightest change in his expression. Rob? I'm moving my brother-in-law's things. What the hell does it have to do with you? That's right. Our captain is Tang's real uncle, and Lord Azura is Tang's real dad, so what if we move some things? Is there something wrong with that, huh? Taoist devotee vehemently nodded in agreement. My lord, Jiang Yan looked at the man next to him. What? Is there a problem, brother-in-law? Nameless Nya asked Si Yihan. Nameless Nya addressing him as brother-in-law, caused Si Yihan's eyes to flicker, and the man calmly said, "Let them move our things." Huh? Jiang Yan was dumbfounded. The items Nameless Nya and his group were moving were goods they were about to trade with several other factions. But his lord was going to let them take them just like this. "Great, brother-in-law. I'll bring Tang Tang here to play with you for a few days soon." Nameless Nya waved at Si Yihan after getting into his car. "Will he really bring young master here?" Jiang Yan looked incredibly doubtful. Si Yihan didn't say anything to that and turned to leave. The Nya family, Yu Wanwan looked at Tang Tang, her eyes turning before she asked, "Tang Tang, do you want to see Daddy?" "Daddy?" Tang Tang thought about it before replying, "That's fine." Yu Wanwan, he really was Si Yihan's real son without a doubt. "Then go tell Grandpa and Grandma that you're going to school. You mustn't slip up, alright?" Yu Wanwan carefully instructed. "Then I'll bring you to see Daddy, okay?" Yu Wanwan smiled. "Okay." Tang Tang nodded. That afternoon, Yu Wanwan lied and said she was taking Tang Tang to school when in reality, she had Nameless Nya escort Tang Tang to Azura's headquarters. She could use Tang Tang as a breakthrough to Patriarch and Madame Nya. If Tang Tang got along with Si Yihan, she believed her parents couldn't bear to separate Tang Tang from his father. Of course, Patriarch and Madame Nya couldn't make decisions about her life for her, but older people had to be sweet-talked. It shouldn't be too difficult for her family to be whole and harmonious. After Tang Tang agreed, Yu Wanwan and Tang Tang operated separately. One went to Si Yihan's place while the other stayed at home to appease her parents. At Azura's headquarters, Jiang Yan was squatting in a corner with his weapon tossed to the side. He had maintained this position for a whole day already. Ever since he saw that DNA test result, his life and beliefs collapsed. Lin Ke looked at Jiang Yan's closed-off state with an unsurprised expression. He walked over and sympathetically clapped the other man on the shoulder. Little Red, what did I say? I reminded you to not offend that girl before. Great, you've completely offended the future Mrs. Azura. If that girl casually whispered something to our lord during pillow talk, what would happen to you?" Jiang Yan leaped up instantly. "Stop your nonsense. Our lord absolutely isn't that kind of muddle-headed person." Lin Ke raised his brows. "Oh. Are you certain? Look into my eyes and say it again." Jiang Yan, this insinuating retort instantly turned Jiang Yan into a punctured balloon. "I'm not certain." At that moment, a guard came to report that Nameless Nya had arrived again. As soon as Jiang Yan heard that, he was charged again and immediately rushed out. "Why are you here again?" "I've already locked the warehouse with several dozen specially made locks, so don't bother thinking about opening it." Jiang Yan was trembling with anger as he looked at Nameless Nya. He swore to the heavens that he never wanted to see this most money-hungry oddball in the Nya family's history ever again. "Are you blind?" Nameless Nya gestured to Tang Tang standing next to him with his eyes. "Can't you see I'm here to drop Tang Tang off to see my brother-in-law?" "Young master." Jiang Yan finally saw Tang Tang. He was seized by anger as soon as he saw Nameless Nya, so he didn't notice anything else. "It really is young master." Jiang Yan was astonished by this. He never expected this fool to really bring young master here. Jiang Yan didn't think Nameless Nya really meant it when he said it. Only then did Jiang Yan's expression improve. At least Nameless Nya kept his word. "Remember to tell my brother-in-law that I spoiled this child too rotten at home, so as the dad, he can't indulge him and must beat him when necessary." Nameless Nya added. Tung Tung's icy gaze landed on Nameless Nya. Jiang Yan's lips slightly twitched. Is he a real uncle? Nameless Nya probably didn't send Tang Tang there to allow the father and son to meet, it was, to let his lord discipline the young master, right? You're such a chicken. You even locked the warehouse with specially made locks? Tell my brother-in-law that the goods last time were merely my compensation for all these years, they don't count as a betrothal gift. Nameless Nya continued with a purse of his lips. Before Jiang Yan could respond, under Tang Tang's threatening gaze, Nameless Nya chuckled awkwardly and disappeared without a trace. Only Tang Tang and Jiang Yan were left in front of Azura's headquarters as well as some of Azura's guards. Jiang Yan stared at his lord's son, who suddenly popped out of nowhere, and took a deep breath to calm himself down. He then smiled faintly and said, "Young master, his lord is reading over documents right now and hasn't finished his work yet. Are you hungry? How about I take you to grab a bite first, young master?" After his lord is finished working, although he still couldn't accept the fact that the vixen contaminated his lord, he couldn't help but act reverently toward this miniature version of his lord. "Take me to see my daddy now," Tang Tang expressionlessly ordered. "Jiang Yan, didn't I say my lord is busy right now?" "Young master, your father, he's..." Tang Tang frowned lightly and interrupted Jiang Yan. "Do I need to repeat myself a second time?" Jiang Yan was certain that this young master of the Nya family was absolutely his lord's biological son without a doubt. From his tone of speech to his mannerisms, he was basically a copy of his lord. All right. Helpless to do anything else, Jiang Yan could only guide Tang Tang toward Lord Azura's study. Halfway there, Jiang Yan looked at Tang Tang and suggested, "Young master, this path is difficult to walk on. How about I carry you?" "No need." Tang Tang shook his head. How about I hold your hand?" Jiang Yan offered. Tang Tang glanced at Jiang Yan. Although Tang Tang's face didn't change a smidgen, his black eyes were brimming with unconcealed disdain. Jiang Yan wanted to cry. Did all the children nowadays not require adults to hold their hands? He was actually disdained by his young master. Soon, Jiang Yan arrived in front of Lord Azura's study with Tang Tang and knocked on the door. However, he didn't receive any response. "My lord, young master is here," Jiang Yan explained. A few seconds later, the door to the study was finally opened. The man stood by the door, his eyes landing on Tang Tang. Almost simultaneously, the father and son duo met each other's eyes, but they stayed silent for a long time without speaking. Next to them, Jiang Yan felt a bit awkward. Wasn't this father and son duo's style of interaction a bit strange? "Come in." Si Yihan took Tang Tang's hand and led him inside the study. Jiang Yan followed behind them, wanting to use this opportunity to make some reports. Before he could enter the office though, the door was slammed shut with a bang. Inside the office, Tang Tang sat on the side while Si Yihan continued to read his documents. "Where's your mom?" Si Yihan asked as he read the document in hand without looking away. "At home," Tang Tang replied while looking at Si Yihan. Si Yihan then proceeded to work. "Are you hungry?" A moment later, Si Yihan spoke again. "I've eaten," Tang Tang responded. After that, the father and son duo entered an odd silence again. When Si Yihan finished going over the documents, it was late at night already. During that period of time, Si Yihan had Jiang Yan send some food to them. "Are you tired?" Si Yihan asked Tang Tang as he set his pen on the desk. "I'm fine," Tang Tang replied. "Time to rest." Si Yihan stood up and took Tang Tang's hand before leading him outside the study. About 15 minutes later, Si Yihan arrived at his bedroom with Tang Tang in tow. "Do you know how to shower by yourself?" Si Yihan questioned. "I do." Tang Tang nodded and turned to enter the bathroom. "Didn't you not know before?" Back in China, it was Wan Wan who helped him shower every time. Tang Tang stoically shook his head. "I know now." Si Yihan didn't say anything and set a new toothbrush and clean towels on the washstand. A moment later, Si Yihan opened the wardrobe. If Yuan Wan was there, she would definitely be speechless with surprise. Si Yihan's wardrobe was actually comprised of children's clothes entirely and some toys too. Si Yihan quietly took out a pair of pajamas and placed them on the bed before returning to the bathroom. "Come here." Si Yihan stopped by the washstand and called out to Tang Tang. Tang Tang walked towards Si Yihan without any hesitation. Si Yihan pulled out a hairdryer and put it on low mode before starting to blow-dry Tang Tang's hair for him lightly. Daddy, do you know how to use a hairdryer? Tang Tang frowned. Why was all the hot air from the hairdryer blowing on his face? First time. Si Yihan was expressionless. Then how do you blow-dry your hair? Tang Tang asked. However, Si Yihan didn't answer this question. After he amateurishly finished blow-drying Tang Tang's hair, he led Tang Tang back to the bedroom. Si Yihan picked up the pajamas he lay on the bed and handed them to Tang Tang. Do you know how to put them on? I don't want them. Tang Tang furrowed his brows as he contemptuously stared at the cute-looking pajamas his dad was holding. Si Yihan glanced at the pajamas in his hand with a frown. He clearly picked them according to this guy's previous preferences. In China, Tang Tang liked it a lot whenever Wan Wan picked these pajamas for him. Si Yihan walked to the wardrobe and opened it. Choose, Si Yihan calmly said. Too high. I can't see, Tang Tang replied. Si Yihan stood in his spot silently for a moment before bending down and picking Tang Tang up. Choose, Si Yihan repeated. In the end, Tang Tang chose a pair of rather normal-looking pajamas. At that moment, Si Yihan's phone started ringing. It was Yi Wan Wan calling. Hey, baby. Yi Wan Wan's soft and sweet voice emitted from the other end. Tang Tang sharply caught his mommy's voice from the phone, and his little ears instantly perked up. He was originally sitting far, far away from Si Yihan but dashed towards Si Yihan at once. Si Yihan glanced at the little fella and sent his son a look that said, "Your mommy's calling me," before answering, "Hey?" The little fella's cheeks puffed up, and he peered at the man with displeasure. Yi Wan Wan said, "My brother sent Tang Tang to your place, right? I told my parents that I sent Tang Tang to a teacher, so you can spend some time with Tang Tang." Si Yihan, sure. Under his son's accusatory gaze, Si Yihan turned on the speakerphone and knelt down too. On the other end of the phone, Yi Wan Wan worriedly inquired, "How are you two getting along?" Si Yihan answered, "We're getting along great." "No, I'm not good." "Daddy's lying," Tang Tang interjected. Tang Tang then proceeded to launch into a series of complaints about how he didn't eat well or dress well and how his daddy didn't even know how to blow-dry his hair. Si Yihan, Yi Wan Wan, the scene turned a bit awkward. Yi Wan Wan sounded exasperated. "I thought you got some experience caring for a child while we were in China. I originally also thought I had some experience," Si Yihan responded. However, the reality was the complete opposite of his imagination. Just what gave him the misconception that this child was easy to take care of? But when Wan Wan was there, Tang Tang was clearly easy to take care of.